strange way of being together as we are distant. It is a joy to see so many of you this morning. I will get into this more later, but the flower service story, the flower ceremony, feels especially relevant to this moment. A story of a community that stuck to their values amidst rising fascism. A community that held the truth that difference makes us beautiful and makes us stronger. So in these days that are challenging in all kinds of ways none of us could have anticipated a year ago, it is powerful for me, at least, to return to our older stories, our foundational stories as Unitarian Universalists. To remember people like Norbert Chapek, to remember that our chalice originally was a symbol on official documents to make them look more official, to help refugees escape the Nazis. We are the inheritors of a proud legacy of freedom and justice and anti-fascism. So come in all of these days when we are navigating so many challenging ways of being together and envisioning a world that is true and free and just. Let us return to our stories and find the strength in them to keep going as we do the work of love in the world. Come, let us gather. Come, let us worship.
Good morning and welcome to People's Church. I am Julie Schneeberger, a member of the Sunday Services Committee. It's an honor to be with you all this morning. I see you virtually sitting in your homes, linked together as a beloved community. Despite the current difficulties, we continue to embrace and serve our diverse world in our own unique ways. People's Church is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist tradition of the liberal religion, which celebrates and learns from many sources of spiritual wisdom and actively supports the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. For those of you attending for the first time, we welcome you and appreciate your coming to our service. If you come regularly, it's good to see you also. It is our hope that you will hear about justice, equity, and compassion, democracy, world communion, peace, liberty, justice, and interdependence. We would love to visit with you in our breakout rooms after the service this morning if you are interested. So come, let us bloom in this space together today. Our chalice will be lit now. Our community knows no boundaries. We are not confined by the physical limits of walls, or for that matter, of what often binds us, restricts us, holds us back. We are freer than we know when we release ourselves and each other from expectations of what is needed for true community. We are here together in space. I see you. I hear you. I love you. And I light this chalice, a beacon of this community, holding us all together, here, now.
I have several announcements to make as we get underway this morning. The first is we are going to be welcoming some new members today during the service, which I am so excited about. And if you are interested in learning more about People's Church and membership and all of that, we will be having a breakout group during our coffee hour for that conversation. So please communicate with me, probably through the chat, if that is a circle you would like to be part of when this service ends. It'll be about 15 minutes, but a chance for us to get to know you all a little bit and answer a few questions. The second, I have two opportunities for us to do the work of love in this particular moment. The first is today after the service at about 12:45, our monthly anti-racism discussion group continues. And the focus this month is about what we have learned about our own racial identity in the past days. So it's not an organizing and action-taking moment, it is a learning and reflecting gathering. I will paste the link to that Zoom gathering in the chat in a few moments. The second opportunity is an action-taking moment. Our friends at Isaac, the congregation-based community organizing group that we are a part of, have asked us as individuals to sign on to a letter to our elected officials in Kalamazoo City and Kalamazoo County about reforming use of force policies by the police. So I encourage you to sign on, and I encourage you to do that soon. Our city council, our city commission meets tomorrow evening, and our county commission meets Tuesday evening. And so hearing from a lot of people in the meantime makes a difference to their conversations and their decisions. And then finally, this is our final service of the program year, which is a very weird distinction to draw during these strange days. But starting next week, our services will be mostly led by members of our congregation, all reflecting on the theme, we're all in this together, which feels even more true than when the Sunday Services Committee suggested that theme several months ago. So I encourage you to attend. People have been working hard. There will be beautiful reflections, chances for conversation, and just that grounding that happens from knowing what you're doing at 10:45 on a Sunday morning. So those are my announcements. There's more from our new board president.
Unmute myself.
Good morning. I'm Steve Ferguson. I have the honor of being selected to be the president of your board. I will be supported by the vice president, River Arts Iflin, and by the secretary, Denise Hartzog. At the last meeting, during these turbulent times, we felt the need to make a public statement about Black Lives Matter. We felt it would take too long and be too difficult to come up with a statement which the entire church could support, could agree to. So we decided that as a board, we could make a statement. The statement was agreed to unanimously including both the current and new board members and our minister. I'll read the statement to you. It should pop up on the chat box as well. As Unitarian Universalists, our faith calls us to speak to this moment. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We believe in justice, equality, and compassion in human relations. We believe in a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We believe that Black lives matter. As white church leaders, we recognize that we are beneficiaries of systems that perpetuate injustice and white supremacy. We grieve the violence that has been committed in the name of public safety in our communities for generations. Individually and collectively, we commit our time, our power, our resources to building the beloved community in solidarity with and following Black leaders in our community and in our faith. Black Lives Matter. The Board of Trustees and Minister of People's Church of Kalamazoo.
There's a seed of hope in my soul, a little seed of hope in my soul. Gonna tend it every day so that it grows strong. Oh, this I pray, then that seed of hope soon will bloom in my soul. There's a seed of joy in my soul, a little seed of joy in my soul. Gonna tend it every day so that it grows strong. Oh, this I pray, then that seed of joy soon will bloom in my soul. There's a seed of peace in my soul, a little seed of peace in my soul. Gonna tend it every day so that it grows strong. Oh, this I pray, then that seed of peace soon will bloom in my soul.
I want to tell you this morning about a man named Norbert Chapek. Many of you know about him already because we tell this story year after year when we do our flower ritual, because it is a story worth hearing again and again and again, like all good stories. Norbert Chapek was born in 1870 in Radomyšl, in what is now part of the Czech Republic. It was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire then. Like a lot of Unitarians, Universalists, and Unitarian Universalists, all through his life, he liked to wonder, to think about religion, ask questions, and search for what is true. His thinking and his questions and his search led him away from the Catholic faith he was raised in. He became a Baptist, and then he became a Unitarian. He became a minister and founded a Unitarian congregation in Prague in Central Europe. And it grew to be the biggest Unitarian congregation in the world at that point, with over 3,000 members. And of course, there's much that is different between that Prague congregation from generations ago and our congregation today. And there are some powerful similarities. We are a community of diverse believers. We are all searching for what is right and true, and we all search in different ways. We ask different questions and we find different answers. We follow different wisdom traditions. We encourage one another in our searches and in our questions. We are one community, one congregation. Reverend Chapek wanted to find a way to show that the community is made better by each person being different and everyone being together. So he created a ritual called a flower ceremony. It happened for the first time in 1923. And it's the ritual we usually do during the final Sunday of our program year. As most of you know who've done this June after June after June, the ritual involves everyone bringing a flower with them to church. Then we gather them all together in a beautiful bouquet that symbolizes us. And then each person leaves with a flower that was not the one they brought with them. It's a ritual that reminds us of the beauty of difference and community and of our own fragility, because we take those flowers home and they start to wither. Reverend Chapek was an advocate for our values, for the free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and the inherent worth and dignity of all people. His country, Czechoslovakia then, the names keep changing, was occupied by the Nazi regime during the Second World War. And Reverend Chapek continued to speak the truth as he understood it. He was Antifa. He was arrested for listening to foreign radio broadcasts and charged with treason. His sermons were cited as evidence against him in court. A court acquitted him, but the Gestapo overruled that court, and he died from poison gas in a concentration camp. There is a story that I have been thinking a lot about these past few weeks, few months, and it's a story that is probably more myth than history. It's a story that Reverend Chapek held a modified flower ceremony in the camp. Instead of flowers, he asked his fellow prisoners to gather up the most beautiful things they could find: a twig, a leaf, a rock. And the community gathered those things together and were reminded of the strength and beauty that they still had, even in the midst of unimaginable suffering. So today, we are going to celebrate a modified flower ceremony adapted to our present circumstances. We'll be offering a series of blessings today, first to ourselves, to one another, and then to the wider world. We will use the symbols of seeds and flowers to remember how fragile and how precious each of us are. So let us be about this holy work. We will now sing a song that is with both music and lyrics by Reverend Norbert Chapek, the man whose brave legacy we celebrate and hope to continue today.
Color and fragrance, magical rhythm, sweet changing music will change us with them. Life within life, in our light, gently glowing. Surely you seem to be God's vision growing. Oh, starry heavens, worlds of all splendor, suns without number, new life engender, with the light gently glowing. What of the wordless song, God's vision growing? Delicate beings lay swing and sparrow in field and forest, clover and yarrow, life greeting life with the light brightly glowing. None are too small to be God's vision growing. In human eyes burns the soul of living, illumines altars of loving giving. Greeting we meet, seeing light brightly glowing, share in the greater life, God's vision growing. Shaper of all things, to us you've given our chance to keep here on earth the heaven, moving in harmony, light gently glowing. May we be gratefully God's vision growing.
This is a community that supports one another in good times, hard times, in between times. One of the ways that we do that is by taking time during our gatherings to lift up the joys and the sorrows and the milestones in our community. So if you have a joy, sorrow, milestone, something else that you want our whole community to hear about so we can hold you in our hearts and celebrate or grieve alongside you, I invite you to type it into the chat box. And today I will remember to pause the recording. So sources of reason and radiance, sources of courage and compassion, keep watch with those who work or watch or weep this day. May the suffering be soothed. May the weary find rest. May the sick be tended. May the dying and those who love them find peace. May the joyous be shielded. And may all of us know we are wrapped in a love that surrounds us always, a web that connects us to all that exists.
I invite you to breathe with me for a few moments. Let's start with a couple deep breaths while I share these sentiments from Thich Nhat Hanh. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. And breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, my breath grows deep. And breathing out, my breath grows slow. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. And breathing out, I know that this is a wonderful moment. And while we breathe together, I want to share this adapted poem by Laura Mancuso entitled My Commitments to Myself. I take care of myself because I am deserving of exquisite care. I take care of myself to maintain the capacity to help others. I move and stretch my body every day. I spend time in nature attuning my senses to the earth's wisdom. I ration my daily exposure to the news. I identify and access credible sources of information. I pace myself. I sit with the reality of uncertainty and impermanence and allow it to temper my desire for control. I feel fear fully when I am fearful. I experience sadness fully when I feel sad. And I relish joy fully when I feel joyful. I remind myself that feelings are transient states that move through me. They do not last. They do not define me, nor do my thoughts. I balance my drive for self-improvement with compassionate acceptance of myself as I am right now. I seek out with increased sensitivity to those who are most vulnerable. I share my time and my resources with those who need help to survive. I strengthen my connection to my sources of spiritual strength so that I may continue to be replenished. I acknowledge the nearness of death as a key motivator to living a full life. I pray for the suffering of all beings to cease. I remain open to new ways of being, surprising sources of joy, and unanticipated discoveries each and every day. As we take 3 more deep belly breaths together, I invite you to just settle your mind, reside fully in your body in this precious present moment. And invite your heart to be filled with gratitude for blessings that you feel at this time. For the gift of being able to be together virtually as one community, seeking justice with love and compassion. May it be so. And blessed be.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn. This rose, I know this rose, I know my fear, I know my fear, I know my soul, I know my soul will unfold its wings. I know this rose, I know this rose, I know this rose, I know my fear, I know my fear, I know my soul will unfold its wings. I know this rose, I know this rose, I know this rose. I know this road, I know my fear, I know my fear, I know my soul, I know my soul, and I'm for this road, I know this road, I know this road, I know this road, I know my fear, I know my fear, I know my soul, and I'm for my soul, and I'm for this road, I know this road, I know this road.
Now I invite you to join me in a moment of offering a blessing to each other in this congregation in these strange days. So for those of you joining us on Zoom by video, I invite you to set your screen to gallery view so you see a whole bunch of people's faces, if you know how to do that. If you're joining by phone or don't know how to do that, I invite you to scan through your mental Rolodex of people's people. And I invite you to settle on a face or on a name as you're doing your search. Perhaps it's someone you know well, perhaps it's not. Perhaps it's someone who just joined our congregation. Perhaps it's someone who shared something during our joys and sorrows time. So give that person a smile to begin. And think about them and what you might know of their life circumstances, especially in these days. And as you are thinking about them or looking at them, I want you to think of a word or two of blessing. And maybe that follows your breath as you're thinking of them. Maybe you breathe in peace and breathe out love. Maybe you return to a line that we have sung today. May you be peaceful and at ease. May your fear burn away. Hope, love. Linger with that word or phrase and repeat it to yourself as you look at this person or think of them. And when you're ready, we're going to try something. We're going to try to turn these words of blessing into a word cloud image in real time. So I'm going to direct you all to a website called Menti, MENTI.com. It should be appearing in your chat right now as well, if you're joining us by video. And when you get there, enter the code 148556, and that should give you a list, a place to type in those words of blessing. And we will create a word cloud of our blessing words. And I'm going to share the screen so you can watch it change and grow. Thank you all for creating that image with me today. We will share that in other ways. It was mesmerizing to watch the words dance across the screen. Thank you. So we have offered blessings among us. And this is the point in the service when we move to bless the world. One of the ways that we make our values real in the world is with our money. And our Social Justice Coordinating Committee has picked 3 worthy recipients for our special offering this morning. You've heard me say this before, but really the only good thing I can think of about an evil as insidious and persistent and powerful as white supremacy is that there are so many avenues to work for its dismantling. And so we have selected 3 organizations that are doing this work in different ways. The first is the Metropolitan Kalamazoo branch of the NAACP, which is doing powerful advocacy in our community. The second is the Urban Alliance, which is doing direct service and community outreach and job training for folks in our city's core neighborhoods. And the third is Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, which supports Black Unitarian Universalists and leads our faith forward in this work. They are my teachers in so much of how to be faithful in this moment. So I encourage you to give generously to these organizations. We have pasted the giving links in our chat, and you can take it from there. They're also in our weekly email. Please give generously to do the work of love in the world.
Please join me in giving thanks for all that sustains us. From the countless gifts we each have been given, gifts of life and love and sustenance, we bring these small portions to share in the works of love which none of us can accomplish alone.
I have one reading for us today. It is a poem by Ross Gay, who is a Black American poet. He wrote it several years ago in response to the death of Eric Garner, who was a man who was killed by police on Staten Island, a Black man. And among his last words were, "I can't breathe." A small, needful fact is that Eric Garner worked for some time for the Parks and Rec Horticultural Department, which means perhaps that with his very large hands, perhaps in all likelihood, he put gently into the earth some plants which most likely, some of them, in all likelihood, continue to grow, continue to do what such plants do, like house and feed small and necessary creatures, like being pleasant to touch and smell, like converting sunlight into food, like making it easier for us to breathe. Friends, our rituals matter. They make things real in a symbolic way that give us the courage to make things real in life. The beautiful bouquet that we create when we are together on our flower service is a sort of spiritual technology, a reminder that difference is beautiful and good and a source of strength. And because we can't do it that way, we are doing something different. Because I couldn't bear the thought of having us somehow distribute flowers to you all that would then wither and die, because I cannot handle another thing dying right now. And so we have this new service, this new ritual that Diane and I conceived that uses some of the same tools. So I invite you into a ritual that is a reimagined flower service for these socially distant times. So all of you who have your address on file with the church, which I know is not everyone, but is most people, received a small mailing from us that included a small paper heart. And I realized I forgot to put myself on the mailing list, so you all can see others are holding them up to the screen right now because I can't do that. That paper is embedded with wildflowers. If you plant it, it will probably grow. It will, in all likelihood, bloom. And that will be important. It will be important for several reasons. Just like any ritual, it holds layers and layers of meaning. It will be important because beauty is vital right now. It is an antidote to the grief and overwhelm of these days. The world desperately needs more beauty, and we can be part of that. And as the poem so beautifully names, plants quite literally make it easier for us to breathe. And we need it to be easier to breathe right now, especially for our Black siblings, friends, and neighbors. And so on this day, on a day that I thought we would be creating a beautiful bouquet in our beautiful building, I commission you to go out and to create pockets of beauty and breath in our world. I invite you over the next days to go and plant this heart in the earth. And I know we are all making different choices about where we are going. And I encourage you to plant your heart out in the world somewhere, a place that is not private, a place where others will see it and share in the beauty and the breath that it creates. This is a moment for our hearts, for our religious values to go everywhere, like sunlight. Rituals are an outward sign of an inward reality. We know that. We know when we go to a wedding, we are witnessing people live into commitments that name the commitments that they have already been living into. We make our beautiful bouquets on our flower Sunday to remind us of who we already are or who we have been aspiring to be for a very long time. So as you plant your heart seeds, and if you don't have a heart, plant some other seeds. That's what I will be doing. I want you to think about what the works of love you are giving your heart to now. In these days when we are asked to do the work of love in new and different ways. As you plant seeds, what commitments can you make or remake or re-promise to make the world a place of beauty and breath, hope and peace, so that the blessings that we have offered today, that beautiful word crowd of peace and compassion and courage and patience and so many other things, are not held tightly here within our hearts or within just our community, but become the lived reality of everyone. Because that is the work of this moment. So may we plant seeds of hope. May this small action of paper and dirt and water be followed by more small actions and still more as we create a world of peace and hope and justice, a world of beauty and breath. Friends, may it be so. May we make it so. And amen.
Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love.
Those words that Savannah sang, if you don't know them, are from Theodore Parker. Theodore Parker was a leading abolitionist clergyman, a man who wrote a lot of his sermons with escaped slaves hiding in his basement, with a gun sitting on his desk, ready to protect people that needed protecting. And that is not the work that all of us are called to, of course, in these days. But we are all called to be about the work. So plant seeds of hope, do works of love, make it easier for all of us to breathe. That is the work of our tradition now. That is what our ancestors are calling us to do. So go in peace, my friends, and go and love and make this world more beautiful. Amen.